to
So
know.
why don't we dive into, we found the house, we've made an offer.
Okay.
So why don't you talk about what's the first thing that happens once the offer has been accepted?
So once we've been accepted, we receive the executed contract, and then we send it out to all parties. And we need to make sure that it goes to the lender, to the title company, and if we're representing the buyers, it goes to the listing agent. Now, it's not under contract until the listing agent sends it back to us signed by the sellers and executed.
And is executed.
So I know
and
a
that
lot.
execution date, that is key because that's where the timeline starts to run.
And so, like if we sign the contract on a Saturday, then it's always, or whatever day we sign it, the clock doesn't start ticking till the next day. Because I
Right.
think that's where clients get.
Right. So if you sign on the first and it's executed on the first,
Right.
the clock starts ticking on the second. So if you have a 7-day option period, you can take 1 plus 7, so it's
Right.
the 2nd through the 8th. So the 8th is when your option period ends. And what is the option period? What is the purpose of the option period?
So the option period is so that you can have inspections. And not only just inspections, but you have access to the house. So like let's say the first thing is the inspection and they tell you that there may be foundation problems or something with the plumbing. You have the opportunity to get more contractors to come out and give you bids. And we're going to use those bids for negotiating. Either we're going to have repairs done for you. We ask, we're going to ask you what you want to do. Do you want to do repairs or do you want concessions? And concessions means that you get money from the seller towards your closing costs to do those repairs.
On your own.
On
after
your own.
Closing.
After closing.
After
right.
closing. And now it's also the option period during that time. If you decide that the house is just not the right house for you,
Yeah.
then you can terminate the contract and you get your earnest money back. Your option fee is kept by the seller, but the earnest money would be refunded to you if you terminate during the option period.
A question I get a lot is, do you get your money back for the inspection? No.
No.
You
no,
do not.
That money that you spent on inspections, that's money out of your pocket. So that's just part of the risk of making that offer on the house.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also I've heard, what happens with the inspection report? Can I share it? That's always been one of those situations that I remember that an inspector would tell me that the person that bought the report owns it. Now, you can choose to disclose it. You can choose not to disclose it. That's completely up to you. But what I've learned in the past, I don't see this very often, but it has happened that they say, I'm going to hold on to it and sell it to the next person that's buying the house.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah, they've sold it. They've asked us before, do you want to buy the report from somebody else?
Interesting.
I have never agreed with that. I've always said,
No.
at that point.
We always recommend that our clients get their own inspection.
Right.
If you want to use the previous inspection, you can, but we're going
if
to
it's
have...
recent?
If it's
recent,
but still, we
we
still
still-
have to have you sign
a form.
a waiver.
Yeah.
A waiver that you are not going to be getting your own inspection, that you're using someone else's inspection.
Right.
Oh, but one thing we didn't talk about that's really important about option fee and earnest money is that day one, when the clock starts ticking, you have 3 days to get that option fee and earnest money to the title company. And that is very time sensitive. If you don't get the money to the title company, you will lose your option period. So that means you are stuck and you won't get your earnest money back if you
Correct.
decide to terminate. So that's why we will stay on you, our transaction coordinator will stay on you, the title company will stay on you until you get that money deposited.
As the buyer's agent. Now, the listing agent may not be, because they don't want you to have that option period.
Right,
so,
but that's another
That's
podcast.
another. That's a different.
That's another. Yeah,
that's a whole
another one
other
we're
thing.
gonna talk about.
Right. So, it's very important to do that, and we've got to make sure that once you get past the option period, then we go into the next phase. But anything else that I'm missing on option period that I'm thinking about?
I don't think so. So once we've negotiated all of the repairs or any sorts of concessions, then we go pending. And that's when you really start working hard with your lender to get all of your financing lined up.
Right.
And if there are repairs that need to be done prior to closing, we make sure to follow up with the listing side and make sure that those repairs are done. You will have an opportunity to have the house re-inspected. We will get all the receipts, anything that we need to prove.
Receipts
that,
are key.
Yeah, they're required.
They're required.
They have to show that the work was done. And if it's something that has to be done by a licensed contractor, for example, an electrician or a plumber, then they can't just get some chuck in a truck to come do the repairs. They actually
can't be your neighbor. Can't be,
It can't be Mr. Handyman.
No,
Mr. Fix-It who lives at the house. He can't do it himself.
No,
it has to be somebody licensed or somebody that you agree to.
Right.
Okay. It has to be in agreement with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once we get past, and another thing that happens during option period, let's say you do agree to all the terms that we've negotiated back and forth, it is very common to close the option period early. And, normally it's asked for, on the listing side because they want to make sure that we've gotten past everything and are moving forward. So I know that we get that from buyers. They're like, why are we closing the option period? Because we've already agreed to everything and it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
So that is not common. I know that when we're on the listing side, we ask for it as well,
right.
too.
And then once we get out of option and you start working with your lender, then the appraisal is ordered. And that's pretty much like the major things that happen after option period when we hand you over to the lender.